Draymond Green decided yesterday was a good day to tell you that he believes he's doing the wrong job. Not that he should be a podcaster, not that he should be a professional basketball player. He said, I could have been a union presidente. He actually said that, Draymond Green. He said he should have been the president of the NBA Players Association because his view is that the CBA that the NBA agreed to has had a crushing impact on free agency because teams put in something called a second apron. And what a second apron acted as was a hard cap. Whereas people in the NBA, when they were negotiating a salary cap, really thought, well, this is a salary cap and it is tied to revenue, but it's sort of soft. Like it's flaccid enough that we can hire 4 people to try to pump it up and figure out if we can get over the cap, around the cap, through the cap. We can build some exceptions, figure out some rules. But then the NBA, while the NBA PA was sleeping, instituted the second apron, and that should not have been the focus on the level of what the second apron is. Instead, the focus should have been, what are the punishments? A little hint for the Major League Baseball Players Association: when we're doing stuff as management and we're having you focus on numbers like where the luxury tax kicks in, pay close attention to what the punishments are. And if a punishment is ever, hey, you can't go to an owners meeting, just know that's not a big punishment. If the punishment is that we can fine you up to $2,500 if you violate this rule, that's not a big deterrent. If the punishment is that you lose draft picks or that you pay tens of millions of dollars in tax per tens of millions of dollars that you pay to a player, or even more, so that a player, instead of being worth 10 million, you pay the player 10 million, but you owe an extra 20 million in tax, which makes that player go from 10 million to a $30 million expenditure. Pay attention to that. But the second apron comes into being, and now players are despondent, saying the teams don't want to be a part of the second apron. Well, NSS, baby, obviously. So what Draymond decided to do was to get on X, which is fine, no problem. And basically, he sends out posts where he's saying that not only did the NBA's current CBA put an end to free agency, but he then started sullying his own members. I sit here and watch. This is a quote from a tweet. I sit here and watch so many players overplay the market and not understand what they are up against with the new rules, which leads me to trying to understand the unstaggering percentage of guys that has no idea, who have no idea, of the business they are a part of. 2 words. He said the quiet out loud, didn't he? He said that there's a bunch of players who are voting on whether to approve a CBA who may not even understand the CBA, who may not read the documents that are given to them by the executive council or by the union president, who don't even read the summary pages called the summary of terms, because no one reads the full CBA. But everybody gets a summary of terms, whose summary of terms may not include a column of, this is what could be the result of this. This is what we are concerned of with that. Draymond Green is 100% right in that there are players who are not paying attention at all. Where he's wrong is that he thinks by being the union president, he would fix all that. There already is a union president. His name is CJ McCollum, and he's getting crushed. People are blaming him. Can you explain that to me? When I lead you to water, do not blame me if you die of thirst. When I put you in a position to succeed and give you every opportunity and you fail, it's not my problem. It's not my fault. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to blame someone else for it happening. That's how you fire a manager. Or someone else. That's how you trade a player. The consequences of failure are going to be changed if it's a rational actor. CJ McCollum was elected in August of 2021, which was about 2 years before the current CBA. The fact is that CJ McCollum, with a bunch of the other players who were on the board, they do communicate with their fellow union members. They do put in writing to the agents what is happening in the CBA. They don't just count on the agents communicating to the players. They count on the team rep communicating to the players. The big disadvantage that a players union has is that the team reps are players on a team who often are voted to be the team rep because no one wants to do it. Because being the union rep for a team is a giant pain in the ass, and we want it to be that way as management. We want no real players of great intelligence or care to want to be union reps. But that doesn't mean that's how it should be. It doesn't mean that the players should acquiesce to that. It doesn't mean that the union reps shouldn't be well chosen. And if you can't find a representative who works and plays on your team, there should be a rule within the union that the union rep for a team can be somebody else whose job is to communicate with those players what's happening. Draymond Green is going to get more involved in CBA, in negotiations, because he wants to be and feels like his is the voice of reason. His is the voice of experience. He told us on Twitter yesterday, maybe I'll write a long piece or maybe I'll just do a podcast. What I love about it is that there's a way more effective way for Draymond Green to get what he wants. How about combining with the existing infrastructure and together educating your teammates? And if you don't like CJ McCollum personally or think he's doing a bad job professionally, then you can execute a coup to vote him out of office. It's quite normal that union members have the right to change union leadership. You don't have the right to complain about your leadership if you don't do something to change it. And yes, that does go for a few other things I'm talking about. You want to complain about the presidency or about climate change or about how bad things are? Do something about it. Vote. Of course, as a former team president, I can't help but thinking about Draymond Green walking into a room with a bunch of owners and saying, man, this second apron, you guys got us. This is the greatest CBA ever. And then the owners saying, yeah, I'm sorry. Do some of your members make like $70 million a year playing basketball? In half a season, a mediocre player could make more than some of the best players of recent generations made. Boy, you really took care of those past generations. You're really focused on future generations, aren't you? You're focused on now and the numbers that you're all getting now. Take a look at some of the contracts and then come back and tell me, and I'll tell you the same thing I would say about baseball. Juan Soto's 765 doesn't mean the rest of the union is going to get theirs. It just means the best of the best are going to get his. In the NBA, though, you're rewarding mediocrity.